Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Reaction channel. Today I'm here to talk about, just what's going on in the overall stock market and where I see it heading, and just talking about kind of what's going on with the president visiting China. So this past Friday, we had a pretty stark sell-off in the stock market, but I think this is just profit taking. AI companies are flying. People are making a ton of money. You got to secure some profits along the way. So if I had to guess, I'd say a lot of people are just taking profit on this. We don't want to forget about this going on in the background. We do have the Iran war still going strong, so this is something that we cannot just write off. This is something that, really is going on. If you look at the headlines right here, we see Iran plans Hormuz tolls as the current president warns of a very bad time over peace talks. We see Israel strikes Lebanon as Iran says it cannot trust the American ... So, there's just, a lot of things still going on. So, as there always is. And then we look at the Strait of Hormuz, same thing here. U.S. Iran stall on Hormuz reopening as oil supplies tighten. So, oil is getting more and more expensive. The consumer is feeling that heavily. So, this is going to keep going on for a while, it looks like. And one bad day and everyone gets scared, guys. The S&P is up 7.5% year to date. Really can't be worried at all. Usually this is an ETF that's up a ton. This is one that is up 10% usually every single year, and we're up already 7.5% this year alone after having a great couple past years. So can you really complain? Not really. You got to take this with a grain of salt. Yes, there's going to be a little sell-offs along the way. If you look right here, you see that it does go down and up, as the S&P always does. So this is just a little sell-off. I think we see a strong week this next week coming up. And you got to take into account as well that technology is 38% of the S&P currently, which the S&P obviously weights its investments, weights its stocks held by how fast they're growing. There's a big group, a big team of people that do this, and it's very, this is why you invest in an index, is because you're going to get the best return. You have good risk to reward management. And we see technology, they thought that 38% was a great thing, or a great number to have for that. And also that's just how it's worked out with the growth of these tech companies. They've become such a great weight. And if you go down the list, you see that consumer cyclical is 9.84% of this. So the consumer side of the stock market has been getting hit very hard. If you guys watch my other channel, Miles Talks Finance, my main channel, you'd know that this is true as well, that the consumer has been getting hit very hard, and those stocks have not been having the best time. So that's something to take into account as well, that the S&P is feeling a lot better than consumer stocks because of tech. But what's going on? We see the president has actually brought a lot of big tech and Wall Street CEOs to China during his visit. And he did this actually to negotiate. We see expanded market access, secure supply chains, and foster commercial agreements with Chinese president. So, is this really going to work out? I don't know. We'll see. I wanted to watch this video here. This is the reaction for today. So I wanted to react to this video with you guys.
We built a $49 garden hose nozzle.
Ad going on. I'm going to mute that. But yeah, this is, the video that we're looking at today for obviously what's going on overseas with the president.
Investors right now taking a much needed breather this weekend. A day after the markets took a huge plunge, the Dow falling more than 500 points. Now,
and we know that this just fell because of profit taking. I don't think anything actually occurred.
Among the concerns, the lack of any major agreements coming out of the China summit this week. NBC's Business and Economy.
But that is something to take into account, is that, I'll stop pausing it as much, but this is a really short video. This is going to be a short reaction today because, it's the weekend, not a lot going on. But you got to think, this meeting with the Chinese president, if there's nothing that comes out of it, then, is it really worth it? There's obviously the market's going to feel backlash on that. So he has a great point right there.
Reporter Ali Canal joining us, just sparse details as far as what they actually accomplished.
Yeah, guys, good morning. Investors were hoping for some sort of a breakthrough here, maybe a trade agreement between the two countries, or a sign that China could help ease some of these tensions around the Strait of Hormuz. But there were very few concrete deals to come out of this summit, and that's raising concerns that these energy shocks, that they could last longer than expected. And when Wall Street starts to worry that inflation could stick around, you see that show up very quickly in the bond market. So this is where investors buy and sell things like government and corporate debt. And that's exactly what we saw yesterday. So investors were pulling money out of bonds over fears that inflation could reaccelerate. And that,
I think we definitely see inflation reaccelerate. The Iran war, it's going to be a long time. I don't think it's close to over. I think we're going to see this go on for a pretty good amount of time.
Longer-term interest rates jumping. Now that matters for everyday Americans because it can make things like mortgages and credit card loans even more expensive at a time when inflation.
And if you guys know, obviously this is going to affect the consumer that much more. It just goes down the pipeline. You know, obviously oil and energy gets more expensive. The bigger companies and corporations feel that it's more expensive to transport products. This gets passed down to the consumer. The consumer can't even pay to fill up their car, so now they can't pay to go out to eat. These companies are hurting. People aren't getting paid because people are getting fired. Obviously, it's just a big cycle that ultimately ends up in a recession if not taken care of, which that's a fear, you know, considering the current state of, you know, Jerome Powell maybe possibly leaving and things of that nature. So that is definitely a valid concern.
Is starting to ripple across the entire economy. One forecast this week from the Philly Fed shows inflation could rise at a 6% annual pace this quarter. You're seeing there that's
not good. That is not good.
More than double their previous forecast. So the big concern on Wall Street is that this isn't just a short-term spike in gas prices, but the start of a broader trend where prices across the economy stay higher for longer here, guys.
It truly is the inflation effect. Ali, thank you. Hey, thanks for...
So that's all that I have for the reaction today. But all in all, I mean, if we do see this inflation, which honestly, I hope we do, because, I mean, if you're not at the age of retirement or you're not about to sell all your stock, then you should want, you know, the stock market to kind of crash. You should want to be able to invest in stocks at a cheaper price. So that's something to take into account when it comes into investing into the stock market. This is going to present a ton of opportunities, which it already has, but it's going to present a lot more that haven't even been thought about yet. So there's a lot of opportunities that are going to arise from this. And I think we do see inflation kind of, you know, obviously rise. And I think this will last a long time. But the current president does have a focus on making sure the stock market does go up. So I think, you know, obviously we'll see some ups and downs, but this could present some great opportunities for the investor. So be sure to look out for that. But that's all I have for today's reaction video, guys. If you did enjoy, be sure to smash that like button. Also subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate the support. Catch you in the next video tomorrow. Peace.